So on this video, I'm going to go through my stretching routine and why I find it useful. Stretching is something that I never wanted to do. It's something that I didn't enjoy. It's something that I always tried to shy away from. And once I decided during lockdown that I wanted to do something for myself so I'm able to run injury free, this stretching routine has been a game changer for me. I'm not saying it's the perfect stretching routine. I'm not saying it's one that everyone should follow. But for me, the fact that I followed something has been the real difference between me staying injury-free most of the time rather than getting niggles and having weeks off, days off, and not being consistent with my training. So this stretching routine, although not perfect, is something that I think is fantastic. What I used to track my stretching routine was an app. Again, I'm not affiliated with this app. They don't pay me anything, but I use an app called Fit, but there's probably plenty of other apps out there that you can use for this sort of fitness routine. And on there was a class by Kat Meffin, and she did a yoga stretching routine. So I literally follow that routine every single day. I hardly look at it now. I just know what it is. But at the start, it was for me doing something that I was really uncomfortable with, some stretching positions that I couldn't get myself into. And I just persevered with it over a period of weeks and months and now years to actually get into positions stretching that I never thought I could possibly do. So for me, stretching has changed the way I think. It's helped me frame my days. It's helped me keep me injury free. And here are some of the things within that routine that I did that were really useful to me. So the first thing that I found useful was that it really helped me frame my day. So I knew when I woke up, if I didn't do that stretch, then my day was a little bit off. I needed to make sure I did that stretch every single morning. There have been occasions, and I'd say maybe 5% of the time, I haven't done my stretch in the morning. I do it later on in the day. And I will alternate my stretching routine with the 25-minute one, which the Kat Meffin one prescribes, and there's also a 10-minute one, which someone called Adrienne does, and I just copy that as well. I do adapt these routines, so some of the things within her routine I find a bit too relaxed, and I wanted to adapt it to maybe what a runner would do. And I've got the routine playing in the background. You can see different parts of it. But for me, the actual framing of the day and making sure I did something to start the morning for myself was massive. That was one of the reasons why I enjoy stretching in the morning. Some people do meditation and that sort of thing. I don't have the brain capacity to enjoy that side of things right now in my life. I wish I did. And I probably should learn to try be better at doing the meditation side of things. But I basically hack my stretching routine by making sure I do it first thing in the morning so I don't forget about it. And also during that routine, I watch a YouTube video, listen to an audiobook on something I'm interested in and want to learn more about. So that stretching routine, framing the day, doing something else to keep myself distracted, which is learning something, and making sure I do it every single day has been really important to me. The next thing is using the app itself to actually count the streak. So every single day it updates and says you've done 2 in a row, 3 in a row, 4 in a row, 5 in a row. This sounds really basic and it maybe might just be my personality, but I like winning. I like consistency. I like to make sure that things are almost a game. And if I can gamify this thing that I find relatively boring, that I know is good for me, then that's a win for me. So I kept that streak going. I only ever missed it when I was on a stag do. I've missed it probably three times in just over 3 years now. So it's a substantial amount of time I've committed to this practice. It's something that I don't see myself changing from doing. And the fact that I am engaged and I'm gamified to keep on it going is massive. And if that app disappeared, the one I'm using, then it'd be quite frustrating and I'd have to find another method of doing it. But I'm sure like with a Google Sheet or a piece of paper or whatever I could do, I can mimic the same thing. So another routine more or less inside out, and I could just follow that without using the app. But I think that having the app and paying for it has given me a little booster and actually kept me consistently doing this over a long period of time. So to the actual stretches themselves, there's a few things here that I found really useful. Runners always get tight quads, hamstrings, calves, Achilles, glutes. These are the things that runners deal with on a day-to-day basis. And one of the most important stretches within the plan is the hip flexor stretch. It's something you can do at any point, at any day. Just get down and stretch those hip flexors in a really obvious way. There's a couple of options within my routine that does that, a couple of times where the routine will hit it. I just think it's really important to do that hip flexor stretch. maybe it's myself, and when I'm doing a longer run, for example, the first thing I can feel is my hip flexors getting really tight, maybe because my quads are overworking and my hamstrings aren't working and my glutes aren't firing. But for me, that hip flexor stretch is something that's so simple and that should be in every single stretching routine if you are a runner. The next thing is the quad stretches. For me, I'm quite a quaddy runner, so when I do quad stretches, they are really painful. Over the years and months, I've adapted the stretching routine to hit this area of my body on a regular point and target. So for me, the one that I like the most is the one you'll be able to see here, where I'm actually like on my knees and leaning back. When I first started this, I couldn't actually do this. I had to put pillows in between my feet and my legs. So I was actually just sitting on a pillow in that position for a minute to a half a minute. Over the years, I've eventually been able to kind of like lean back on myself and push my quads up. Something that I never thought I'd be able to do, and something that most people might not be able to do if they're running on a regular basis and have tight quads for whatever reason in their sport. But for me, being able to do that now, I actually forget that I had like literally 2 pillows, and I went down to 1 pillow, and then I went down to like a yoga mat in between, and then I just held myself there in pain for that period of time for that particular stretch. It was intense. So I am so pleased that I've got to the point where I'm able to keep those quads nice and loose. And for me, with my knee issues, it's so important to make sure your quads are stretched and supple, because if you have tight quads, it's going to affect your knees really, really quickly. So that for me is one of the most crucial parts of my stretching routine. The next thing is hamstrings. So hamstrings are always a bugbear for people who run at fast paces. They often get pulled quite easily, they get tight, and for me, it's exactly the same. So part of this routine, there's hamstring stretching, and there's one where I'm lying down and pulling my leg towards me. There's also one where I'm kind of in the hip thrust position, and then I stretch my hamstrings from that position there. So 2 parts in my stretching routine that target my hamstrings, and then when I finish the routine up, when I stand up, I actually stretch my hamstrings for a bit longer. So there's actually 3 points in my stretching routine that hit my hamstrings. For me, I've started doing gym work to strengthen my hamstrings, so I think that that's helped massively. But by doing that strength work, it means my hamstrings are tighter on a regular basis. So if I don't put that hamstring stretch in, I am liable to get a hamstring tear or a pull at any point in time. So stretching hamstrings for runners is massively important. The next thing is calves, ankles. So for me, in this routine, only have 1 stretch in there that actually focuses on my calves, Achilles. However, there are numerous stretches within the routine that focuses on my ankle flexibility. So if my ankles are flexible, generally I'm not going to get as much tightness in my calves, Achilles, because I'm putting myself in positions that is going to benefit the actual calf flexion and tension. So I think even though maybe a calf stretch isn't prevalent in this routine, I think that having it in some way, and ankle mobility is really important for runners to make sure you don't get injured, to make sure you don't get tight muscles around that area, and it's something I recommend that you guys do. That was my stretching routine, some details behind it and why I do it, and some of the most important parts within it. Hope you found that useful. If you want more information, reach out to me. I'm at Matt Woodywood on all the different social media channels.